All right, darlings, buckle up. Today is gonna be, it's gonna be a big one, okay? Today we're gonna do my palette collection, my eyeshadow palette collection, and a declutter. So I'm okay with having a big collection. Let me preface that, okay? I'm okay with having a big collection. But there are some palettes in here that I don't reach for, I don't really care for, and I just kind of want to move them out. There's palettes in here that I haven't even touched yet. So when I counted, well, let me just insert a video here um, of the current state of my desk so that you can see it, because I have a lot of palettes. So you guys, look at this. Oh my God, there's so many palettes here. So I did a brief count. Don't mind my messy desk area. This is how I live my life. But I did a brief count and there were 120 palettes. So yeah, we're gonna go through each palette and see what I'm keeping, what I'm not keeping. So we're gonna go one by one and let's just do it. Okay, we're back. So I counted 120 palettes, and I think I got them all. They were in all corners of my house, basically. So yeah, we're gonna get to it. Some of these I got in Ipsy, some of them I bought outright. Most of them I bought were on sale, so do not freak out. I do want to lay some ground rules though. I'm not gonna send anything to anybody, okay? Never gonna happen. So firstly, no, don't ask, please. Don't even comment. Two, how I spend my money is my business. And if you don't like a brand that's in here, if you don't like a whatever, please keep it to yourself. I mean this in the nicest possible way. I don't really care. And thirdly, I had subscription boxes for a long time. So I got stuff from like multiple places. And I also bought a lot of my own, but I almost always use a code or if something's on sale, whatever, you know. But I'm looking at it and it's a lot. I've also been given a lot of palettes. My mother-in-law gave me like a whole bag of stuff. So we're just gonna get into it. And let's just start. I'm gonna go with the stack that's closest to me here. And so the first palette that we're gonna look at is gonna be this Mermaid Z palette here. So this has a bunch of Give Me Glow shadows in it here. And then I don't know where this one is. Let's see if we can tell where this one's from. I think maybe Notice Beauty. I am going to hang on to this. I know they look really similar, but I'm not doing a declutter of single shades. I'm just not going to do it. So at this point, this is going to stay. So we'll put that off to the side. Okay, so the second palette that we're going to look at is this Mosaic by Trend Beauty. I have never touched this palette. I don't even think I've opened it. Let's look at the color story. Yeah. So while it's a pretty color story, I'm never going to touch this. Let's not even pretend like I'm going to. So I am going to donate this or pass this on to somebody in my immediate circle because it's just not something that I've ever reached for. And I think I got it in like Ipsy or something. It's a pretty color story, but I don't even want to swatch it just because I'm going to give it to somebody else. So let's just move the, oh, look, I already have eyeshadow on me. It took like less than, what, like 5 minutes? I don't know. All right, so we're gonna move this one along. So the next two palettes are from an indie brand that I found on Etsy. And it's called Melted Gems. They're a Florida-based indie brand. And I'm not even gonna lie to you. I don't even think I used this palette. Did I even use the glitters? No. And here, I'm gonna tell you why, okay? So this is the second palette. The first palette I have of theirs is called the Earth. And I used the Earth palette a fair bit. This is a really pretty color story. I don't even know if it's still available or not. I am going to pass this on to somebody else. And the reason for that is because the Earth palette here, in front of me, this one, I used the pressed glitters in this palette because there are pressed glitters in both palettes and I did not read the descriptions fully. And that was my bad. I think they were like 15 bucks each. I used the pressed glitters in these and to do like a whole glitter look. And then I did use a couple of these mattes. I do have the plastic cover back on it because I don't want the glitter to fall out. But This glitter burned whatever the matrices that they use as like a gel grip, because it's a pressed glitter and it kind of has like a gel like consistency. It burned my eyebrows. Like they were red for days. So I'm sensitive to whatever is in this. I don't know what else. The mattes were just okay. They weren't bad. And then these shimmers were really lackluster. They're kind of like a traditional shimmer that has no zhuzh. So I cannot recommend them. I'm going to donate the other one. This one I'm just going to throw away because the glitters in it, legitimately, I did glitter brows and like a beard for a joke look in one of the makeup club groups that I was in, and it burnt my eyes. I got it off of my chin just in time, and in the time, because it started to tingle, and in the time it took me to take it off of my face here, my brows were like red, like burnt underneath. So that's gonna be a no from me, dog. I'm actually gonna throw that palette away. Maybe it turned and I just got a bad one. But for that reason, I kind of didn't want to use the other one because it also was full of pressed glitters. And I just didn't know if that was gonna be like a good thing. So we're gonna pass that along. I think we're doing pretty good. We're at like what, 4 palettes and I've gotten rid of 3. This is good. This is good. I don't have a number in mind. It's just, you know, whatever I can get rid of that I'm not using, I'm going to do that. So the next palette is going to be this Hip Dot palette here. And this is their Cenote palette. It is a beautiful color story. I enjoyed the couple of looks that I did with this palette, but I am going to pass it on because I just don't reach for it. I have most of these shades in other palettes, and so we're just going to move this along. Next is going to be this Milani palette here. This one's the Gilded Terra palette. I used this a fair bit. I did not like how it performed on my eyes. I was trying to give Milani shadows a shot because they can be, I know, you know, drugstore shadows are real hit and miss, shadows in general, but drugstore shadows are real hit and miss, and it just didn't perform for me. So I'm going to pass it on. But yeah, obviously, the next palette I'm keeping, it's my Gila palette by Odin's Eye. This is my panning focus, as you know, for this year. This is going to be my panning focus. It's just a beautiful color story. I love it. By the way, these palettes are in no order. I just have stacks of palettes in front of me. So we're just going on the as we go, we go. Yeah. So next is my Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. I'm going to keep this palette. I don't reach for this palette too much. The jury's still out for me. I know this is really like a cult, like I wouldn't say a cult favorite, but people really love this palette. And I like how it performs, but I'm not in love with it. I'm more in love with the packaging than I am anything. So for that reason, I'm just going to go ahead and hang on to it and use it for a while longer before I pass it on. I just kind of haven't decided yet. Okay. All right. The next is the Sigma Untamed palette. I really I stalked this color story for a while. I have not used it a crazy amount because I do have a really large collection, but look how beautiful that is. Like, Sigma shimmers are not like the most impactful, but I think they make for some really beautiful shadow looks. And yeah, the brush that's in this, by the way, I love a double-ended brush. I know some people don't. I lay them flat in a drawer and that's how I store it. But this color story is gorgeous. And Sigma makes some their brushes are amazing. It would be like a dream to end up on Sigma's PR list, let me just tell you. Like, I'm so jealous when I see people get it. I'm like, yes, that's an achievement right there, you know? Okay, so the next palette I got in my BoxyCharm, like forever ago, and I rarely reach for it, and it's the Lunar Beauty Life's a Drag. I've maybe used it twice. Excuse me, in the time that I've had it, I've maybe used it twice. It's very, like, this half's neutral, this half's colorful, and that's all fine and dandy. I just don't reach for it. I really don't. And for that reason, I'm going to pass it on to somebody else. But selfishly, I am going to keep the double-ended brush that it came with because I want to. And I think that's a good enough reason for me. It's mine anyway, right? But yeah, it's a beautiful palette, but I just don't reach for it. And it's a pretty big impact. Like, it's a pretty big palette. So I am going to move it on. It's a little difficult to store for me, but I just don't reach for it. So, you know, that's it. Okay, the next palette I don't think I've even used once yet, and that is the Artemis palette by Alter Ego. This is a dupe, and I mean like a copyright violation dupe of the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. It obviously has smaller pans than Natasha Denona's palette, but it is basically an exact dupe. Let me see if I should take this, there we go, the plastic off. I haven't used it yet. It's beautiful color story. I know a lot of people have a lot of thoughts about this brand and, you know, intellectual property theft and all of that. But it is a beautiful palette, and frankly, it's a really nice dupe for that palette, for that color story, because not everybody has $128 to spend on a Natasha Denona palette, like her large palette. And I think if somebody wants this color story, it does make a good alternative for that. I am going to hang on to it because I want to, and that's that. So the next palette I also think is an untouched palette, and that is actually a Natasha Denona palette. This is the Zendo palette by Natasha Denona. It's a beautiful color story. A lot of people complained about the quality of this palette, like that it didn't perform like her best formulas did. In my opinion, I don't think Natasha Denona, from the palettes that I have used, I don't think that her formula is, it's not my favorite personally. And I don't think it's the best out there. Not for the money, not for whatever. Like it's not my favorite. It's a beautiful color story and I'm keeping it. So there's that. The next palette is the Natasha Denona Love palette. And this is one of those palettes that I do think has performed well. Like I've enjoyed using this palette. I haven't used every shade, but I've used about half the shades in here. And I've enjoyed using this palette. I think the color story is beautiful. Her packaging, A++. Love her packaging. But yeah, like not all of her palettes are my favorite. Like I just don't get the hype, but I do enjoy this Love palette. I think it was a great deal. It was half off when I bought it, and I'm not mad at it. Okay, so moving on. Next is this palette by Aether Beauty. I don't remember what this is called. Is it like the Crystal palette maybe? I don't know. They didn't put the name of the palette on the actual palette itself, and I find that to be frustrating as a consumer, because then I'm like, do I run to their website every time I want to talk about this? Like, I don't feel like it's a good marketing plan, in my opinion. It's a beautiful palette. This color story is really pretty. The shimmers are really lackluster. The mattes are gorgeous, and I just don't reach for it. So I'm going to declutter this. Like I said, it's a beautiful, I love the pan setup. I think it's really like interesting. And I looked at this palette online for a while before I bought it. And I don't reach for it. And I think if the shimmers were more impactful, then that would be a different story. But because they're not, I just don't reach for it. And so, bye. For lack of a better way of putting that, bye. So I will pass that on to somebody else. Okay. So, moving right along. We have this Bonjour palette by Essence. I bought this, I think, because it was like $3. It was like $3 at Ulta at one point, and that's why I bought it. And honestly, it's very neutral. It's very pretty. I don't know. Do I want to keep this? I think I might keep this and just use it once. And I know that sounds really stupid, but I want to use it at least once. I think it's a pretty color story, and I like it. So I think it's a very neutral leaning palette, and I reach for a lot of color. I mean, clearly, but, yeah, I think I'm going to hang on to it for just a little while longer, maybe use it a couple times and see what I think. Do I have these shades in other palettes? Yeah, probably, but there's something really pretty and really muted about this. And I think I'm going to hang on to it. So, okay. So next on my list. Some of you guys will lose your fucking minds probably for this, but I have a brand new ABH Modern Renaissance palette. This was in, I think, like an Ipsy Plus or like an MC, like the Glam Bag X or whatever it's called. It's a Modern Renaissance palette. I've never used this. I have never, oh, there's the brush. Okay, cool. I've never used this, never touched it, never even looked at it. I'm gonna pass this on. It's a brand new palette. I'm never gonna reach for this. I know that about myself. Like, oh, let me adjust my light, hold on. I'm never gonna reach for this. I don't, some of you guys may not agree. I don't like their eyeshadow formula for the most part. So the other palettes that I've used, including the other one that's like this, it's not Modern Renaissance, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like this. I just don't reach, I don't reach for their formula. I find it to be kind of powdery. It's not my favorite. I panned the Carly Bybel palette. I panned like 8 out of 14 of those shades. But frankly, you know, ABH is not a brand that I love. I don't like that, you know, some of their politics, and I won't go into that here. Please don't in the comment either. Please don't. But I don't really like it, and I'm gonna pass it on. It's not for me. Okay, so the next palette is probably this one, and I think this is also a Virgin palette. I could be wrong. And that's the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette. Again, I bought this last year, Black Friday, I think. I haven't used it once. It's really pretty, really pretty. Like the color story, I just love the packaging. I love. I haven't tried it, and I will set this. I need to make a stack of all the Virgin palettes in my collection. Yeah, because there's too many for my liking, and I'm a palette hoarder. I know that about myself, but yeah, it's beautiful. I'm gonna hang on to it. So, okay, moving right along. Next is also a Virgin. Okay, the next few palettes are gonna be Virgin palettes, I think. So it's the Daydream palette by Kylav Beauty. These are actually water activated, and this was a collab palette with Sunshine the Bee and Kylav. She's a creator on Instagram. So this is here. These are, what? I've never even used this. Did you see that? Look, the water activated liner just legit fell out of the actual pan. The pan didn't fall out. The liner fell out of the pan. What the fuckery? 2 of them fell out of the pan. What? I don't know if I can even, maybe I should just declutter this instead of, like, it's pretty. They're water activated liners. I got them when it was like half off or like a hella sale. Maybe I should just declutter this. I don't know. It just, like, see, there's discoloration happening here. I don't know what's up with that. That's not screaming good quality to me. I'm not gonna lie to you. I haven't had a problem with any of their other palettes, but this is probably gonna get decluttered. I don't like that. This pan just fell out of the actual pan, and so did this. And it's not like it got jostled around. Like, it legit just like went bloop and fell out. So, don't love that. I'm gonna declutter that because honestly, if it's old enough to where it's drying up and it's falling out of the pan, I don't know that I should put it on my eyes. And that's just the cold, hard truth. So, okay, well, that didn't go well. All right, so the next palette from, it's actually from Kylav again. So I think I have most of my palettes from them right here in front of me. So the next palette we're gonna talk about is this Art Nouveau palette. And it's beautiful. I think I've maybe touched it once. I think I played with this shade, this shade, this shade, and this shade. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful color story. It's a rainbow palette. I mean, there's not much else to say other than that. These are not my favorite shimmers, but I do really like them. And the tones, I think, are interesting. They're not like your everyday rainbow colors. So I like it. I'm going to keep it for a little while longer, I think. And, you know, we'll see if I don't reach for it by my next declutter, which will probably be in like 6 months. If I don't reach for it by then, I'll probably declutter it because it's pretty, but there are other rainbow palettes in my collection. So, you know, hard to get mad at it. So by now, if you need a break, let's just take a pause here and I'll look all stoic for a second. Go get a snack, go get a drink, because we're not even halfway through, friends. We are not even halfway through, okay? So, okay, break over. I hope you got what you need. So the next palette we're going to talk about is my Kylav Rococo palette here, or Rococo. I appreciate that they're an art themed brand, and that each of their palettes so far have been a style of art that has come through. So I think that's really cool. Okay, so we have here, this palette's gotten a lot of use for me already. I have obviously have a pan here. This is their Rococo palette. And at one point, I will probably make this a panning challenge because the tones in here are really interesting. And I have enjoyed using this palette. I don't feel like it took very long to pan this. Like, I feel like it didn't even take like 7 uses to pan that. But yeah, so I like this color story. I still reach for this, and I'm going to be hanging on to it. So the packaging is really bulky. I know that was a complaint for some people. It's because the shape is like a nice square. It's not a problem for me, but I know a lot of people complained about how thick the packaging was, but I don't care. All right, so the next one is going to be the Impressionism palette by Kylav as well. And this palette has gotten a lot of use for me as well. You can see it's kind of messy. This palette and the Rococo palette, I think, are really complementary to each other because they're really kind of similar. I think if you have one, you probably don't need the other. But I am going to hang on to this for a little while longer. Now you see where it says Muse Beauty. So they changed their name because they couldn't, they had copyright issues. And it's now Kylav, which is the 2 founders. It's the 2 sisters, their names put together is where Kylav comes from. So if you see Muse Beauty on their palettes, that's why. Because they changed their name. Okay. So next palette on my list is a Beauty Creations palette that I have never touched. And for that reason, I am going to move it along. It's the Murillo Twins Beauty Creations palette here. So this here. I've never touched this palette. I don't like pressed glitters. This came in a subscription box, and it's a very muted color story, and I've never reached for it. So I'm going to pass it on and see if somebody else wants it, but it feels nice and it looks pretty, but I don't reach for it, and I'm just going to pass it on. So, whew, okay. So, on to a new stack. So, this palette is here, okay, and it's the Il Mascua. I'm going to pull it out of the package because I haven't even opened it. It's here. It's a soft touch palette. I don't know what this is. What is this called? Unveiled Artistry palette. Here. This is really pretty. It's like mid-tone neutrals, I'd say. Like warm neutrals specifically, with a couple of cool shades. But I'm going to pass this on. I don't reach for this. I don't think I ever reached for this because of the color story. These 2 shades are really similar. These 2 shades are really similar. Like, I feel like they could have done something different. I understand what their brand aesthetic is, but it's just not for me, so I'm going to pass it on. It's pretty, though. Like, I appreciate the packaging. The packaging is A+. But, like, I never even took it out of the cardboard sleeve. Like, it was one of those BoxyCharm, you know, choose this palette or whatever, or like subscriber gift maybe. But, yeah, it's pretty. It's just not, I'm not a neutral queen, so, yeah, we'll just move it along. Okay. So the next 3 palettes are, 2 of them were setups that came from Makeup Geek. And then the third were miscellaneous shades, so like single shades. So they're reusable palettes, by far the best ones that I've ever used. These are the Matrix palettes, and I have the neutral, and I have, what's that, but RIP Makeup Geek. But look at these, they're just gorgeous. I stalked these Matrix palettes for months, almost a year online before I finally bit the bullet and bought them. And I loved these. I still love these. I don't reach for them as much as I used to, but frankly I should, because Makeup Geek made stunning eyeshadows. I stalked this for a long time. These palettes, like these Z palettes, are so heavy duty. Like, they have weight to them, and I appreciate the hell out of that, because sometimes they're just flimsy, you know? Just look at them. God, they're so beautiful. They're just beautiful. I've loved using them. I've just loved using them. Both of these, this palette mattes, the other palette, the nude palette, also mattes. But like, oh God, they're just beautiful. I just love them so much. And then the foiled shades that I have from them, like the foiled singles that I have are in this palette. And they are, so the round packaging was their old packaging. And they put these on clearance for like $1 each. I shit you not. When they did the square pans. And so I just like, oh God, but they're just like, look. Do you see this? Look, they're just beautiful. And I love them. And I wish Makeup Geek was not out of business, but I understand why. And I wish them all the best. But yeah, they made beautiful products. So the next palette is also a Z palette, also with some more Give Me Glow palette, some more Give Me Glow shades. This is, I think it's Chaos Beauty. They make that rainbow highlighter, and literally when you see if I can do it, it's like a rainbow. See? It's beautiful. It really is beautiful. It's very sparkly. If you don't like sparkly highlighters, that's not your highlighter. And then these are depotted from a Tarte palette that I had. It was the Tarte, like the Under the Sea one with like the really pretty packaging. I depotted and just kept the shades that I wanted and then got rid of the rest because I wasn't using them. So, whew. So far we've gotten rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 palettes. That's awesome. I'm really proud of myself. Good job, me. I don't know how many more we're gonna get rid of if I'm being honest with you. Okay, so on to the next palette. We have another Huda Beauty palette. This is their Rose Gold Remastered, and look how beautiful this is. Like, oh, those metallics, bathe me in them. God, they're beautiful. Have I reached for it? Not really. Am I ready to get rid of it? No, I'm not, because it's pretty. It was one of those that came in as another subscription box, and I haven't reached for it, so. All right. Man, we are moving along. I'm so proud of us. Good job, me. Okay, so the next is the Nomad Cosmetics Haunted Europe palette. This is one of the first palettes that I bought from Nomad. I really enjoy their formula. And this palette has gotten a lot of use. I don't know if you can tell by how freaking messy it is. But yeah, it's gotten a lot of use. I've made some beautiful looks from it. And absolutely, that's going to stick around. So, oh man. Probably one of the best palettes to be released this year, no joke. So this is the Blend Body All Done Up palette. Just look at it. Absolutely stunning. These shimmers, out of this world. They're gorgeous. If you buy one palette this year, one palette on Black Friday, buy this palette. That's it. If you buy one palette on Black Friday, buy that palette. The All Done Up palette by Blend Bunny Cosmetics. Whew, so good. Okay, so next is the Solmon 2 palette by Odin's Eye. God, just gorgeous. So pretty. Love, 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 love. Love it, love it. I feel like this palette is on par with the Gila palette in terms of formula. It's better, way better than like the Cat's Breath palette, which is in here somewhere. This I think is way better than that series. So Odin's Eye continues to get better with their formula. Their shimmers continue to get brighter and more impactful. Their mattes are blendable and beautiful. So love. Sticking around. It's hanging out. Okay, this is another indie brand, which used to be in Wisconsin, I think. And then they went back to Puerto Rico, which is where I guess the founder is from. It's Belle Cosmetics, and this is their Cool Summer palette. And just look, it's beautiful. The shimmers are impactful. They're sparkly and just stunning. The mattes are gorgeous. I really love this palette. It was worth it at full price. I got it for $10 when they went to relocate. So they did a big move and they clearanced everything so they wouldn't have to bring it with them. Oh, stunning. If you see this palette, get it. It's gorgeous. It is. It's beautiful. This is her Cool Summer palette. This was her summer release. I don't know. Sorry. I'm like covered in eyeshadow. Worth it. Okay, oh my gosh. The next two are by Cosmic Brushes, which this palette has taken by storm. It's taken Instagram by storm. And that is the Serenity palette by Cosmic Brushes. This is a gorgeous palette. It is, I love it. I love it. The color story speaks to me. This shade here, Opal, I think it's called, transformative. Yeah, absolutely transformative. It has like this, I don't know if you can see it in the camera there. Stunning. It's like an opalescent shade. It changes with whatever shade you put it on top of. It changes and it's beautiful. And I cannot recommend this palette enough. I think it was $25, which is how many palette? There's what, 20 shades in here? Fucking yes. So good. So much good makeup this year. Beautiful. And then by the same brand, Cosmic Brushes, they also have this palette here, which is called the Royal Rose palette. I've really enjoyed the shades that I've used from it. I haven't used every shade yet, but it's beautiful. So this is like the bubblegum pink older sister to the Serenity palette, and I just love it. It's gorgeous. Yeah, and then this isn't inexpensive. There's lots of colors. Like, it's just, you know, I don't even think I've used this one. This is Ofra Cosmetics. This is one of their pro palettes. This is a boho palette. Pretty sure that I won this in that giveaway that they did end of last year. I have not touched it, and I will pass it on to a makeup lover in my life. But yeah, I'm not even gonna take the plastic off. It's pretty, but it is a neutral palette, and it's just not for me. So we're gonna pass that on. The next one is their Free Spirit palette, which is here. And while the, I don't know if I've even used this highlighter. I love their highlighters, but I was not impressed with how these shades worked. I don't think they blended easily. I don't think they applied to the eyes easily. I don't like this formula, and I'm gonna pass it on to somebody else. Their blushes are, I have duplicates of almost all of these other shades here, these bronzer and highlighters and blushes. I have duplicates from there in singles or in a palette. So I'm gonna pass this on to somebody else. So bye, 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 bye. Oh, okay. So let's grab another stack here. All right. So I picked up these palettes, the next two palettes. I picked them up at TJ Maxx because they were just so like recommended. This is the BH Cosmetics Los Angeles palette. Rich Lux. If you like drama channels, Rich Lux is really fun to watch because he's like supposedly, allegedly. He's fun to watch, but he recommended this palette a lot. And I was like, okay, well, when I saw it for like $5 at TJ Maxx, I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick it up. So I picked up a couple of them. I think there's some more in this stack too, but it's beautiful. The color story is, I haven't used it a whole lot, so I'm gonna hang on to it because I can. And along the same lines, it's a Tokyo palette, which by the way surprised me because I don't think these colors when I think of Tokyo. I think of brights and pastels and grungy, like kind of, you know, street tones. I don't really think of bright rainbow colors. So I don't know if they nailed the mark there. Color story wise, I haven't even used this yet, so I'm gonna hang on to it. Yeah. Okay. Ooh. Another indie brand, Lois Cosmetics. This is like a beautiful pinky neutral palette. This is since discontinued. This is a rose metal palette, which by the way, I've not seen a single person talk about this. So Lois Cosmetics did the rose metal palette first, but now ABH has a rose metal palette. Can we talk about that? Are there copyright rules here? Like, to what a palette can be named? I don't know anything about this, but like ABH does like a pinky rose gold kind of palette and calls it rose metals. And then Lois Cosmetics did it first and nobody's gonna say anything. I mean, whatever. I'm gonna hang on to it because I really like Lois Cosmetics and I just do. Their next palette is their Meet Me at Midnight palette, which is, I bought, as soon as this released, I bought it. I love their Meet Me in the Underworld palette, and as soon as this released, I bought it. This one's buildable. It's not my favorite, like purple ever. But overall, the color story I really like. Most of the shades are buildable, if not, they're not patchy or anything like that. But yeah, I definitely think these shades benefit from glitter glue. They're not the brightest shimmers. I don't even care. I think they're stunning. And the owner, Lois Patterson, she's just a gem. She's just a gem of a person. I just like her. So yeah, we're hanging on to it. Okay, the next palette is going to be the Blend Bunny, what is it, Surge? Yes, Surge palette. Stunning. Stunning, 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 stunning. If you want true neons, this is your palette. So, Blend Bunny is always running sales. Go for it. They're always running some kind of sale. Gorgeous palette. Okay, yes, it's staying, in case there was doubt. Okay, Melt Cosmetics. Their Amore Mariposas palette. This one here, it's just so pretty. The inside just as pretty. Love how every shadow that I've tried in here is performed. I haven't tried all of them. I think I haven't tried this one or this one yet. But love every shadow in here that I've tried. I've enjoyed. I heard really mixed things about Melt. I heard really mixed things about this palette specifically. I've not had a single issue. Not a single issue. It's been beautiful. So keep. All right. Next is the Bad Witch Club palette by Give Me Glow. Yeah, how cute it is. I don't know if this is still available or not. These are not my favorite Give Me Glow shadows, which I was surprised by. Am I going to keep it? Yes, I am going to keep it because I still reach for it. But they're not my favorite Give Me Glow shadows, which I was kind of surprised by. I felt like this took a little bit, like a decent amount to layer it. I don't feel like this was as blendable. Neither of these shades were as blendable as I'm used to. So I don't know if there's a formula difference here or not, but I am going to keep it because I do still reach for it. And I'm not ready to part with it yet, but it's a beautiful palette. I don't find that palette the easiest to work with. And I was surprised by that because I have some more of, obviously, single shades. You've seen those already. But I also have two of their other palettes here. The next, I would like you to first and foremost not judge me, okay? Don't judge me. So next is the Vintage Rose palette. And, okay, see these? I did not hit pan, and I'm going to have to buy a replacement, actually. So I am going to declutter this. I absolutely love this palette. I love it. Maybe I'll just buy single shade replacements, but I love this palette. My daughter, when she was a little, got her hands in this palette and broke it. And I've wanted a replacement ever since. So if this goes on sale Black Friday, I am going to buy a replacement because I reached for this palette and reached for it and reached for it and I loved it. And I still love it. But I'm going to get a replacement because it has gone to hell in a handbasket and it's been beat up. My daughter took no prisoners. She just like abused the hell out of it. So, yep, we're gonna go ahead and get a replacement Black Friday because I just need to. I just need to. But this specific one, I am gonna declutter. But I am gonna buy a replacement. Okay, next is the Vivid Rose Give Me Glow palette. This is beautiful. It's very pink. If you don't like pinks, don't buy this palette. But yeah, I've really enjoyed this. And just look at these shades. Just look at it. Give Me Glow. They're like metallics and they're shimmers. They just kill it with those. They really do. They're gorgeous. So keep on to the next. So the next palette we're going to talk about is this one. I don't even know if I've ever used this. This is a Ofra Cosmetics and Samantha March palette. It's beautiful, but I'm going to declutter it. I don't enjoy Ofra's eyeshadow formula as much. I would like to enjoy it, but I haven't tried this particular formula. Let me preface that. It could be different from the other ones. But I'm not going to hang on to it. I'm going to pass it on. It's beautiful, but it's just not something I need in my life. So look at us. Oh my gosh, I'm doing so good. This is my Nomad Cosmetics Lapland Santa's Workshop. Not Workshop. Santa's palette. That one. It's beautiful. I'm keeping it. I haven't used it very much yet. I've used it a couple of times. But yeah, I like it. Not everybody's going to like that palette because the shimmers are not, we've already been over this in other videos. But it's a beautiful palette and I'm keeping it. Okay, these are my Glaminatrix single shades. They're stunning. I'm keeping it. This Z palette is one of my favorite. The engineering novelty of that is, I just like it. Yeah, it's just something I like. You know, it's the little things get me. The little things get me. Okay, the next palette is from A Colorful Caricature. Jeffree Star Cosmetics. It is their what is this called? Their Bloodlust palette. I wanted this palette for a while. I got it when it was on sale. I've used maybe half the shades in here. I think the formula is just average, honestly. I think these other shades are really pretty. I think the shimmers are stunning, but the matte formula is just average for me. I'm gonna hang on to it, but if I don't reach for it by the next declutter, I'll probably just keep the shades in here that I really like and that I reach for, and then just declutter the rest because this packaging is really bulky. It's really bulky. I know he said it was an experience. That's what he does with his packaging. But it is really bulky. And yeah, it's pretty, but I'm just not gonna, I'm gonna hang on to it for a little while longer. So there's a short stack here that my mother-in-law gave me. She is also a makeup lover. And when she makes makeup decisions, like makeup buying decisions, they're not always the best, in my opinion. I love her, but they're not always the best. And so I benefit from that a little bit because she gives me what she doesn't really like. So I haven't touched like the next 4 palettes and they came from her, so that's okay. But the first one is this Urban Decay Naked Basics 2 palette. This is such a little nugget. These are very cool toned neutrals. I am going to pass this on to somebody else, maybe my sister. She really likes neutrals. This is not my color story. I think the packaging's really nice, but I'm never going to use this. It's still in the box even. I think she swatched one shade and then just didn't return it and then gave it to me. But I am going to pass it on. Next is the Naked 3 by Urban Decay. And I really like the brushes that are in here. I'm going to keep this brush, but I am going to declutter this palette probably. I have these shades and other brands with better formulas, frankly. So I don't dislike Urban Decay's formula, but it's not my favorite. And this color story just doesn't speak to me. If you're a neutral lover, I'd be willing to bet neutral lovers love this palette, but it's just not for me. And so I'm gonna pass it on. Okay. The next one is the I Love palette by Sephora. Excuse me. Also neutral. She was on a quest to find like her perfect neutral palette. So we have several neutral palettes from her. Okay, so anyway, it's the I Love palette by Sephora. Also gonna pass that on because I just don't reach for those kind of colors. Okay, so the next palette is the Unique Moodstruck Addiction Volume 6 palette. That one's here. Here, I think she used it a couple of times. I actually think this color story is beautiful. Okay, let me preface this. This is going to be a whole nother video, but once upon a time, I sold Unique. And I still really enjoy this color story. I don't like the quality of the shadows as much, and I don't think the price warrants the product, if that makes sense. So their pricing is like luxury pricing, in my opinion, and I just don't think it warrants the cost of this palette, just based on performance. So I don't know that I'm going to use this again, so I'm going to pass it on. But yeah, I just, I don't think that their eyeshadows warrant the cost. Their single shadows were great, in my opinion. But yeah, but if you don't support MLMs, don't buy from them. And that's end of story. But I had a good, like for the most part, I had a good experience, but man, that's going to be a whole nother video. But yeah, I think the color story is beautiful for a neutral palette. But I don't know if I'm going to reach for it again. Let me hang on to it for a little while longer just for nostalgia. You know, it's not for science, it's just for nostalgia. So, okay. Bump the camera. Okay. Next is going to be probably, I don't even think I used this palette yet. This is the Lore palette by Unearthly Cosmetics, and just look at it. Look at it. Do you see this? Do you see this? Oh, it's so pretty. I haven't even used it yet. I just want to look at it. I just want to look at it. You know? Whew. But anyway, gorgeous, stunning. Ugh, amazing. Yeah, the Lore palette by Unearthly. She's staying. That's just what's happening. She's staying. Okay. The next one is by a brand that I haven't heard from in a while. And that's Storybook Cosmetics. So I really enjoyed this palette. I think that these shimmers are soft and impactful and just stunning. Some of the shades in here are just stunning. I might go through and just cherry pick, like look at this Arctic-y kind of like blue. It's like a silvery blue. It's just beautiful. Oh, but I don't reach for it as a palette. I'm torn. Okay, I'm going to hang on to it for one more. And if I don't reach it by the next declutter, I will get rid of it because it's starting to get older. But it's just beautiful. God, the color story is just so pretty. It just gets me. It gets me. It just does. Okay. Next is the Unearthly Cosmetics Vitality palette. This is not a true rainbow palette because it doesn't have like a deep red, like a red in it, like a true red. But it is a really beautiful palette. I've used it once. I can't vouch for the rest of the formula, but it's beautiful. And I really like it and I'm going to hang on to it. So that's that. I'm relatively new to Unearthly. I'm just kind of discovering and finding my way. They're finding their way into my collection. So, all right. So the next palette is by Lethal Cosmetics. I don't know what this palette's called. Maybe the Play palette. I don't know. It says Play on the thing. I don't know what this is called. This is another one of the situations where the palette name is not printed on the palette. So unless it says, see, there's stuff in the mirror here. Unless it's Play, I don't know what this is. It's staying around though. It's pretty. I don't know what it's called though. I really like Lethal's formula, especially their mattes. I find that their shimmers, in my opinion, they have a lot of fallout. But I find their mattes to just be beautiful. And I like the formula and it gets better all the time. It's every palette, it's just a little bit better. And I love that. So we're keeping it. Okay, another Lethal Cosmetics palette is the Night Flower palette. See, I remember what this one's called. Beautiful, stunning, gorgeous. Love. I love everything about this palette and I'm keeping it. So yeah, this is by far my favorite. Well, that's not true. It's not my favorite release that they've ever done, but I do really like it. So yeah, it's gorgeous. I love it. It's gorgeous, stunning. All right, another Lethal. I don't know what this one's called either. I don't know. Is this a palette? No, this is not my custom palette, but yeah, I think this is is this a hummingbird palette? I don't know, but it's cute. Look at it. It's beautiful. I don't even know if I've ever used it. I don't care. I'm keeping it. I think there's a duplicate shade in here. I think this is a duplicate shade from the last palette or palette before that, but it's beautiful and I really like it and I'm keeping it. So yeah. All right. Lethal Cosmetics again. I know we're going down the line. This one says, don't be afraid to color outside the lines. I don't know what palette this is from, but I really like it. It's pretty. And I'm keeping it. I'm keeping all my Lethal palettes. Let me just preface that. I'm just going to keep them because I want to. But they're just really pretty. They're really pretty. Look at that green. Just look at it. Okay, love. I love my eyeshadow collection. I'm really pleased with the color stories that I've curated, like picked over the years. And yeah, I just love it. I think is this a custom palette? I think this is a custom palette from Lethal that I built. Clearly I have a type. We have greens, mustard, golds. I love gold. The look of it, the feel of it, the texture. I can't help myself. I'm sorry. It's just, I'm not sorry. I lied. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. I ain't sorry. Look at it. Just look at it. Can you just bathe me in it? I don't care. I love it. Yeah, this is a custom one that I built. I really enjoy Lethal's formula, and I appreciate that they put their custom palettes on sale from time to time, to where if you wanted to partake in their products, you can build your own and still get it on sale, and I appreciate that immensely. They're a German-based indie company, and I love that. Their content on Instagram is fabulous too, by the way. Okay, getting into my Nomad palettes. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna get I'm gonna get rid of one of my Nomad palettes. I know, shocking. I think it's shocking, but it's not this one. So this is the Harajuku palette by Nomad Cosmetics. It's a beautiful pastel dream. This is a beautiful companion palette. Standalone, don't love it as a standalone. I think it's beautiful, but as a standalone, not so much. But as a companion palette, I think it's amazing. And the reason for that is all of these pastels are really beautiful blending palettes or diffusing shades. And then these shimmers, they're not the most impactful, but I think they make really nice topper shades. They're a little bit harder pressed, but I think they just make like a really pretty accent shades or topper shades. But yeah, it's a beautiful palette and I'm hanging on to it. So next. All right, so the next Nomad palette, because these are actually together, unlike the rest of my collection, is the Paradise palette here. What's it called? Provinciata. Let's see. It's Paradise Islands. I don't know how to say it in the language of the locals, but gorgeous, stunning, gorgeous. Oh, I made some beautiful looks with this palette, and it doesn't even look like I've used it. The embossing is still there. Like, I think the only shade I haven't used is like this one. It's gorgeous. I love it. Yeah, they just keep getting better. Every palette, with the exception of the Christmas palette, because I know those shimmers were reminiscent of their old formula, but they just, their stories are, I just love them. If you like colorful makeup, I think that Nomad is a good one to go with. And then, can I just tell you, I was so sad. So this had like a beautiful cover with like the sloth on it, and it was like a white cover, and then the sloth was just poking through. My 4-year-old just ripped it off of this palette, and she was like, I was like, why did you do that? She just said, because I wanted to. Fucking savages. Kids are savages. But look at this. Oh. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. Love, 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 love. Okay. So next on the list is the Cartagena Magica palette right here by Nomad. Is this my favorite Nomad palette? No. No, it's actually, if I was going to rank my Nomad palettes, I think this would probably be towards the bottom. Do I love it? Yes, there are shades in here that I really like. Does it perform it doesn't perform as well as some of their newer palettes, and I think that's what the problem is for me. But I got it really cheap. I'm not mad at it, and I do reach for it, so I'm going to keep it. So there, I said it. Okay, so the next palette here is, I don't even think I've touched this, and I think I'm going to declutter it, honestly. And it's the Nomad Berlin Underground palette. I got this on clearance. I think I got it through Ipsy, actually. I don't know if it was on sale. It was on hella sale, at least half off. I'm going to pass this on to somebody else. I just have found that I don't reach for these these shades. I don't reach for these. There's a level of grunge that I like in a palette. And I just think this takes it too far for me. It's too grungy for me. It's not as bright or as impactful. I think on deeper skin tones, this color story would be just unbelievably beautiful. Unbelievably beautiful. But I just don't reach for it, and so I'm going to declutter it. I'm going to move it along and see if somebody else wants it, and that's just, yeah, bye-bye. Wow, I never thought I'd see the day where I would get rid of a Nomad palette. Look at me. Okay, so next might be the actual first palette that I bought from Nomad. And it's their Orient Express, and that's because it's velvet packaging with like this 1920s detailing. Fucking got me. It got me. Man, it got me. But like, I've really enjoyed this color story. I've really enjoyed it. There's a lot of neutrals in here. When I was saying that I have, you know, those other shades in those neutral palettes in a formula I like better, this is what I mean. Like, there's all these neutrals and then there's pops of color. And I just think it's a beautiful palette. And I've gotten a lot of use out of it, and it's gonna stick around. So, whew, man, progress. Progress, progress, progress. Okay, let's see. Let me grab the next stack here. Oh, man. Oh, gosh. Oh, sorry. Try not to bump things too much. We got a lot of makeup here, friends. All right. Just trying to keep things reasonable. Move this into this stack. Okay. So the next is this little tiny NARS palette. I'm so used to big palettes now that when I hold something like this, I'm like, this is a little tiny palette. Look at this little tiny palette. It's a neutral. It's a 6-pan neutral palette by NARS. I'm going to declutter it because I just am not going to reach for it, and I know that. If you're a neutral lover, this might be a really beautiful travel palette. But yeah, I'm not gonna reach for it. I wish this shade was actually, or like, let's say this shade. I wish this shade was like a light color matte. I think that would be beautiful, or like a highlight shade, but a light color matte. Instead of, this is just, you know, I don't know. It wasn't curated well in my opinion. Even as somebody who's not like a neutral lover, I just don't think that was a good plan. My mother-in-law gave me that, and I'm not gonna use it, so it's gonna go to somebody else. The next is this little quad by Undone Beauty. It's pretty. I don't reach for it. I'm not the biggest fan of quads. I'm just not. And so for that reason, I am going to declutter it. I'm going to move it on to somebody else and see if they want it. So it's beautiful, and it performs okay. It was inexpensive. I got it from Ulta Beauty, and I'm just going to move it on. I don't reach for it, and that's that. So, oh man. This palette right here, this bitch right here, so pretty. It's so pretty. It doesn't even look like I've used it. This is the Gemini 2 palette by Melt Cosmetics. It's gorgeous, and I really like it. It's like kind of grungy and warm and greens and oranges with like pinky kind of tones. I don't know, it just screams my name. The packaging's beautiful and textured. Add to cart. Buy another one. No, kidding. Okay, so the next palette is the Saga of Freya. This is the Cat's Breath palette, and that's here. I don't feel like I've used this palette a decent amount, but I haven't used it a lot. It still looks unused. I don't even think I've used this like sequin type shade. I'm gonna hang on to it for a bit longer. This is not my favorite Inside formula. I like don't reach for this compared to their other palettes, but I do think it's pretty, and I'm gonna keep it. Like the packaging A+. That's for damn sure, but yeah. Okay, so next I am covered. My black shirt was a poor life choice. I'm covered in eyeshadow. Is the Plain Jane Remastered by Adept Cosmetics. I've really enjoyed this brand. It's an all shimmer palette. It's a beautiful accent piece. It's rare that I do just an all shimmer look in general. I do like to mix mattes and shimmers. It's a beautiful palette. I am going to hang on to it, and yeah, love. Okay. So, next on the agenda is this palette here by Salem and the Witch. This is Salem Cosmetics, and this is Salem and the Witch. I've enjoyed this palette. It's pretty messy, I know, but I've enjoyed it. I don't know what their other palettes are like because I don't have any, but I've enjoyed this one. I don't reach for this color story a lot. And I think this color story is really similar to the Give Me Glow. Where's that palette? The Witches palette. Excuse me. So since that palette is not available, this might be a good dupe. Because it is similar. It's not the same, but it's similar. But yeah, I've enjoyed it. I'm really interested to see what they're going to do next. So, yeah. All right, the next palette was a gift my hubby got me. And I don't think I've used it yet. And that's the Michaela Nogueira Part 2 with Glamlight Cosmetics. I love how curated this is, how beautiful this is. Keep. Next palette is this Shayna B. Miami cut palette Cosmetics palette. Oh, that's a mouthful. Gosh. Here, pressed glitter. Ew, no thank you. But this shimmer here is really interesting color. It's like a metallic burgundy. That's the only reason I held on to this, but frankly, I haven't reached for it and I'm just gonna move it along. So, it's not touched and it's just gonna find a new home. Just not with me. So, all right, next is the Francesca Tolo palette that with Ofra Cosmetics. It's beautiful. I've used a couple of the shades in here. I'm gonna declutter this. I thought about taking these pans out and reusing it with something that I curated myself, but I'm never gonna do that. Let's not pretend. I'm never gonna do that. I really like this kind of packaging from Ofra versus their cardboard packaging. I think their cardboard packaging comes across as cheap. There, I said it. I love the brand, but I think their cardboard eyeshadow palette, that the packaging is the same for every palette, basically. I don't love that. I don't dig that. So I think this kind of packaging where it's like heavy duty, custom kind of palette, I think this is much better. The packaging's beautiful. And then they could just alter the centerpiece, you know, from palette to palette. But I am going to declutter it because I don't reach for it often. Hi friends! So if you made it this far, you made it to the end of the first part of my eyeshadow collection and declutter. Thank you. If you liked this video, please give it a like, give it a share, give it a whatever. Subscribe and play along. You can hear Levi running around, just FYI. I realized when I was done filming that and I went to edit that it's literally like almost 2 hours worth of content. So I am going to split it into 2 videos. So this is the end of part number 1. And part number 2, hi Levi, should be posting anytime now. So it just depends on YouTube loading times because sometimes it takes forever. So thank you for coming this far. Thank you for watching my video. And if you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, follow along, and leave me like a pencil or a paintbrush emoji in the comments below so that I know that you got here. I know who my OGs are. And I will catch you in part number 2. See you in a bit.